Thank you very much, Sheikh, because this now takes me to the question, which is more of I'm going to dwell into the basics now of profit that you mentioned. How do we determine what is reasonable profit and what is unreasonable profit? For example, if I am a stockist, if I am if I am stocking this, let's say these staplers with me, and I have hundreds of them lying in my warehouse. I bought it at $10 a piece. I market price is $15. Suddenly, solar plates. But in fact, that's a very classical example. Recently, China was closed, so solar plates import stopped. Now, because of that stop, people who had stocks of solar plates, they increased the price from 50 rupees to 85 rupees immediately because they said there is a gap. Now, how do you determine? I mean, they were already selling in 50. Also, they had a profit. So, is this how does Islam regulate this kind of a transaction?
So first general rule is that we would say, as they say today, it is supply and demand. At the end of the day, a rule in Islam is that people are free to set the prices, enter into the contract and negotiate things freely without interference of a third party. Third party usually being government. So in Islam, government should not be able to tell you what kind of a contract you are entering, how much you're paying for the workforce, or how much the goods and services are. This assumes that there is no coercion by and some kind of a monopoly, something that is unfair, somebody who is forcing something into the market. Okay, so we see in the Medina during certain times, the price of certain goods went very, very high, as you mentioned, very high. And the people came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, the prices have skyrocketed. He said, and they would say to him, can you lower them down? Can you fix the price? So the Prophet ﷺ said, I can't do that. And he said, this is something that Allah, it's within His control. And I don't want to come on the Day of Judgment where somebody will demand their rights from me from this, which means it's your right to fix the price. So it is normal. I live in the war, and during the war, the sugar 1 kilo was $60. So this is normal to happen when there is a shortages. People, we can say they're taking advantage, but you can understand that if something is scarce, there is not enough of it, people go through tremendous risk to be rewarded for supplying that. So the price sends the signal that you need to do something to bring the goods to solve the situation. When that increases, it usually acts as a mechanism to increase production or to bring these goods to the market. State intervening does nothing except artificially solve this. So the first rule is that we should not interfere in the prices. If those things are high, it will inspire other people to bring it. It will do these kinds of things. Now, when there is a coercion and some kind of a manipulation, something is off, somebody is hoarding artificially, somebody is having so much power that they can artificially make. So whenever you have artificial manipulation, that's a different thing. For example, recently in Turkey, opposition parties that control certain outlets were artificially inflating the prices to increase inflation and politically harm the President Erdogan. That's a different thing than genuinely prices going out because we don't have enough. But when you do these kinds of things, then you need to deploy different mechanisms. Okay? So I would say that a reasonable profit is something that you see what is customary in the market, and people will have a sense. People will choose themselves. I don't want to buy it. It's too much. You understand? So it's something that is customarily assigned in any market. People will accept this or not. Again, it's between the people. Now there is a small area here when again people. I have seen some people when it comes to certain very rare medicine. There was one business in US, they bought a patent to the very rare life-saving medicine, and they 1,000% increase the price. I think there is this line where somebody is manipulating or using certain tools of manipulation that can cross the line, that is beyond what is customarily expected. Somebody make a medicine. Okay, there is usually how much market accept the price, but then beyond that there is a problem. And I usually find who does these things is people of no values and ethics, right? And so we have to see what is genuine supply and demand, part of freedom, and what is coercion and manipulation. And only when there is abuse and manipulation and so on should the government step in to regulate that. But they should try to give free hands to entrepreneurs, remove the red tape so that people can freely work to improve their lives.
True, Sheikh. Sheikh, what you were mentioning before this question came to my mind that when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and I would like you to correct me if I'm wrong, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam started this concept of people bringing their products inside the market and selling them on their own, that wasn't that kind of killing the concept of a middleman or a sponsorship model which is prevalent in the world today?
Well, in those days, people didn't have like these companies and shareholders and these kinds of ideas. Everybody was more entrepreneurial. Everybody was running their own business, more or less. But the idea of people were more working sometimes like partners or agents of somebody. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ was agent of his wife. He worked for her in terms of as a partner, or we can say agent, in conducting the business. So that is today a result mostly on result of the restructuring that we have seen, how modern day business is conducted. Modern day business is more complex. The challenges are more complex. And so it is no surprise that we see more people kind of joining together to take on more complicated products. Like think about it, designing, airplane. Maybe airplane will have 100,000 parts. So to collect this, to put it together, it's very complex. And so every major big business like that, to be competitive and so on, after a while, you will see the rise of these mega corporations, and also, as you said, middlemen or these mid-size. I don't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Sheikh. Sorry. This is right what you're saying. However, when we see people, we go to the vegetable market, you go to the fruit market. Today, what is happening is that the farmer, he brings his fruit, but he cannot sell on his own. He has to go to a commission agent or a middleman. He's forced to sell all his produce to that person, because that is the only way he can survive in the market. And I mean, like the sugar industry you mentioned, the sugarcane farmer makes nothing. He basically sells it off to the factory or to the middleman, and that factory or that middleman then actually makes the real profit. I know it is value addition in sugarcane example, but in the example of fruit market, there's no value addition they're doing. So is this something which is allowed in Islam?
So the general rule in Islam when it comes to business transactions or arrangements is that every arrangement is permissible unless you find something that is prohibited there. So as a general rule, is it okay that farmers or food producers create some sort of cooperative which then collects jointly all of their fruit and sell it, and they can offer this at the more predictable price and the predictable way, joining the effort? There is nothing inherently wrong with that. We can't say that you cannot do that. We will need to have evidence. But for example, we have to understand that if this collective is then used to force some kind of unfair dealings or coercing people and undercutting them in some way, then we might have a problem. Because you see, one of the things that you are not allowed to do in the market is undercut people. Undercutting people is, for example, you come to the market and you say, I will sell, and you see everybody selling something for $5. And you know it costs $4 to produce and everybody's selling, making $1. So you come to the market and you say, I'm a big guy, I will sell my product, even though it costs me same $4 to produce, I will sell it at $3. And why I do that? I do that because I have power and I can undercut everybody for next 1 year. In that 1 year, you kill the competition. And then you raise it to $7 next year. You understand? So this is what we call undercutting. These are unfair practices. So if we find that there is something that is unfair, pressuring the markets, pressuring the farmers, something that is genuinely not fair happening, then this gives us the case to investigate and so on. But also at the same time, if there is a genuinely, they are working, because this body and corporation should work to represent these farmers. Because the reason why they cannot sell is because producers, let's say, of the food, they require consistent large quantities. They cannot rely on the small farmers. Sometimes he's got it or not, or different qualities and so on. This is why they pull together, so that they can honor these big deals. They can make big deals. So it does have its advantages. Only disadvantages is that sometimes you get manipulation. Now, let's say you have a genuine situation and then some small farmers are maybe hurt. That will also happen. Because as you move, as things happen, and you know bigger players are more modernizing, mass producing, competition will squeeze out some of the small players, which is why businesses usually try to find their own niche. Maybe the smaller player can focus more on healthier food, more organic, more some personal touch, some other aspects, you know. So people need to always understand that in dynamic world of business, you need to adapt to certain changes that are naturally going to happen. You cannot just continue the same.
Okay, brilliant.